you were working at the same company and found yourselves on a business trip together. From when to when?
December, for 9 days. I was only around her for 8. She flew out almost a week and a half before I got there. I came a week and a half later.
Where?
To Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Were you there on business?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
You were staying at a hotel?
Yes, ma'am.
You each had your own room?
Yes, ma'am.
Company was paying for those 2 bills?
Yes, Your Honor.
So I know a little bit about you, Miss Hardy. Married, single, kids, no kids?
Married, 4 kids, all girls.
How long have you been married?
A year.
And you?
I'm single with no kids.
Okay. So during this business trip, you allege that one evening an incident occurred, which forms the basis of this whole case.
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you tell me about it?
On December the 16th, me and Edwina had went out to get our nails done that afternoon after work. We had made plans to go out that evening to see the city of Tulsa. I had never been, it was my first time. And later that evening, she had texted me, we had got dressed already in our separate rooms and told me that she was ready for us to go out. Upon coming to get her, I went to her room, I knocked on the door, and she let me in. She was still finishing her makeup, and we were getting ready to go head out. She told me that, hey, let's have a few drinks so we don't have to pay when we get to the bar, which I guess, you know, bars are a little overpriced. So I said, okay. We had about 5 to 6 shots in the room.
Was it from the mini bar, or did she travel with it?
We bought it together, Your Honor.
Okay. Did you buy it together?
Yes, I was with her. I didn't purchase it.
But you were together when she purchased it. Where did she purchase it?
It was from a liquor store.
Well, that's not getting your nails done unless you were getting your nails done and there was a liquor store nearby. So before you went back to the hotel, you went to a liquor store.
Correct.
Okay, about what time was that?
I would say it was around like 4 in the afternoon.
And when you went to the liquor store, you were having conversations, because that's what happens. You don't just go without conversations. You had your nails done, just your nails, or toes too?
We did not get any nails done, Your Honor. We were getting our toes done, in which Adonijah initiated it.
Okay, but that...
Yes, ma'am.
Nails, toes, and during the course of that, you were having conversations with each other. So there were things to chat about. When you got to the liquor store, there was some discussion about going into the liquor store.
I don't recall a clear discussion. I do know while we were in the car, Miss Edwina did tell me that her and her husband were swingers. And she was making different...
I don't want you to interrupt again, okay?
She was making different gestures and things like that, just to let me know about her personal life, which I thought was her way of just gaining my trust. And so from there, we went to the liquor store.
Well, then somebody must have said, should we have some drinks later? I'm going to stop at a liquor store. Something happened.
Right.
You didn't just stop, because when you got to the liquor store, did you go in with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. When you went in together, did you discuss your alcoholic preference?
We did.
You did. So she asked you, what do you like?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what did you tell her?
I told her I didn't really drink that much. I didn't really know.
Just a second. So you didn't give her an answer?
Not a specific name of an alcohol, no, ma'am.
Well, did a type of alcohol?
Not that I can recall.
Do you remember the conversation when you went to the liquor store?
We were standing inside the liquor store, and I asked her, so what are we drinking? And she was like, it doesn't matter to me. And I was like, you want to do tequila? You want to do this? We picked out the tequila together, because I do not drink.
Okay. So you together picked out the tequila, then you went back to the room?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Go ahead. You got the tequila, and you went back to her room?
We went back to the hotel. We went our separate ways, and we got dressed for going out. After we got dressed, I went down to her room, I knocked on her door, and she was still doing her makeup or her lashes or whatever. And so I came inside, which was actually normal for us. We had all been in each other's rooms, so I didn't feel anything uncomfortable by it or like it was something to worry about. Upon coming in her room, we had conversation, we listened to some music, and then we headed to the car after, of course, having those shots that I mentioned earlier. Once we got to the car, Miss Edwina pointed out to me that, Addie, you're too drunk to drive. I was in the driver's seat, and I was supposed to be taking us out. So we headed back into the hotel. We went back to her room, and we sat there and we chatted for a while. After talking, that's when she offered me the Lortab, which I found out later to be a Lortab. She said it would
How did you know it was a Lortab? And I don't know what that is.
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to look that up and tell me.
As I was stating earlier in our conversation in the car, when we got our nails done, when she mentioned being a swinger and things like that, she told me that, I'm sorry.
Toes done?
Yes, when we got our toes done. She also told me that she took pills and that she needed to hit her plug up for some Lortabs. That's the only reason why I'm under the impression that the pill that she gave me is a Lortab. I honestly am not sure.
Okay, you're guessing.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
So a Lortab is in the same class as Vicodin. It's a hydrocodone. pill.
When she gave you that pill, why did you take it?
I was already under the influence. I was just a little tipsy and
You
I
were
trusted her.
under the influence?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you were drunk, which is what it says here in your answer. December 16th, after a night of drinking, is what you say.
Yes, ma'am.
Edwina invited me back to her room to have more drinks because it was less expensive than paying for the drinks at the bar. That's when Edwina offered me a Lortab.
Yes, ma'am.
But you don't know what she offered you.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you offer her a pill?
No, ma'am.
Do you know what Lortabs are?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Do you take them?
No, ma'am.
Do you have them?
No, ma'am.
You have to remember to tell me the truth. It's an odd thing.
What she's referring to, I did not give her anything. I was released from the hospital 2 days before I came. I only had like syrup medicine. I didn't have anything to offer her.
Now just say, you were released from the hospital for what?
I have peptic ulcers. That's why I said I don't even really drink.
Okay, but they did give you medication.
Yeah, they only gave me sulfate for my stomach to cover the ulcers.
Okay, now you say after taking this pill, you're intoxicated.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what happened next.
Okay, I was sitting in the chair. She was just kind of pacing around the room while we were talking, listening to music, and I blacked out. The last thing that I remember from December the 16th was seeing Miss Edwina naked, and she was coming on to me, touching me.
Well, just a second. That you remember.
Yes, ma'am, a glimpse of it.
Just a second. That's not in your answer, that the plaintiff was naked.
I have it in my warrant here that I filed against her for the...
Well, I know you have it, you may have it someplace else, and I'll look at it, but in your answer, you don't write that. You said, after taking the pill, I don't remember anything besides some vague memories of Edwina touching me inappropriately.
Something's not adding up in this situation. And the reason why is because when you go out and you're with your coworker, I'm not the one to judge, but I don't think it's appropriate to go out and pound 6 shots of tequila. Maybe even just maybe 2 shots is too much. But in this case, she took way too much. And I think it's fine, you know, you live your life, you do the thing you do. But in this specific case, she's making some pretty bold claims about this other woman here. And the thing that I feel like happens a lot of the time is when someone doesn't want to take responsibility for maybe some things that they feel shameful about, they like to kind of say, well, I was drunk and I didn't know what was happening. I don't really remember. I kind of blacked out. And although those things might be true, she ends up having very specific memories about what she saw for a very specific kind of convenient thing, thus this lady touching her inappropriately, and it seems to be a little bit far-fetched. And there's something that makes me think that maybe there was a little bit more going on here and somebody's lying. But what do you guys think? Let's keep watching.
Okay, why don't you tell me the vague memory that you have?
Yes, ma'am, that is what I remember, is seeing her naked and she was touching me.
Where?
Where was she touching me?
Yeah.
She was just groping me.
Where?
I really honestly don't remember. I just remember her hands were on me.
Was she holding your head?
She was wrapping her legs around me. Like, that's what she was doing. She was grabbing me and wrapping her legs around me. She was sitting on an ottoman.
That's pretty specific for someone who doesn't really remember inappropriate touching. All right. Now, when you woke up the next morning, where were you?
I was in my hotel room.
So you went back to your room that night?
That's the big mystery. I honestly don't remember how I got back to my room.
You don't remember walking to your room?
No, ma'am.
Or being carried to your room?
No, ma'am. After that, I don't remember.
What's the last thing you remember?
The last thing I remember was seeing her naked and her touching me.
And that was on December 16th?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened on December 17th?
I believe we were off that day, and I slept in. I was actually trying to avoid Edwina, so I was in my room for a majority of the day. I thought what happened was just maybe like a dream, or it was just like a bad memory, and it didn't truly happen. But later that evening, she had texted me and said, like, hey, you left your underwear here, and I had fun and all this, and that's when it hit.
I'd like to see that text.
Yes, ma'am.
What were you smoking? Come on. What were we smoking, everybody?
Weed.
Okay, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in addition to the 6 shots, you were also smoking marijuana.
Yes, ma'am.
Not that evening, we did not smoke.
Yes, we were.
Just a second. Just let's be clear.
Your Honor, I have a
Just
picture of us.
shh. Just a second. You're interrupting me. You were both smoking marijuana that evening.
That was the following day.
No, it was
That
not.
Just as.
Yes, ma'am.
If you interrupt me again, I'm going to dismiss your claim. Do you understand
Yes,
that?
ma'am.
Perfect. So now what you're telling me is the following day after the 16th, not the 16th, you smoked marijuana together.
That's what the texts are referring to.
No. Just answer my question. Were you smoking together on the 16th or the 17th or the 18th or all those days?
To my best recollection, we did go to a dispensary, and honestly, we may have smoked every day of that. I don't recall.
Okay.
just
So,
don't-
just a second. So you both went to a dispensary together. On what date?
when we
Just a
first got
second.
there.
16th. That's when this incident happened. Who had just arrived on the 16th?
I didn't get with them until the 10th, and that is the day we went to the dispensary.
The 10th.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you went to the dispensary, is she correct, on the 10th?
Correct.
Did you buy anything at the dispensary?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you buy?
I bought a pen
A pen,
and edibles.
not a writing pen.
No, ma'am. It was like a vape pen.
Smoking pen, and some edibles. So you had them, you took them to your room.
Yes, ma'am.
After the 16th, did you get together again
On the 17th, she did invite me out.
for dinner? For what?
No, ma'am. She actually invited me to a swingers club
Okay. Where?
in Tulsa. It's called the House of Sin.
Did you go?
Yes, ma'am.
How long did you stay?
Maybe like an hour or 2 or 3. I can't recall.
Did you leave together?
Yes, ma'am. She was my ride. I didn't have a car.
That's all right. There's an Uber, there's a walk. You can do a lot of things. Did you see each other after you got home from this club?
We went our separate ways.
What about on the 18th?
We were working together the entire trip.
I understand.
Yes, ma'am.
Working together. Did you socialize? Did you go out together afterwards? Did you have a drink together? Anything on the 18th?
On the 18th, I believe we may have had dinner with the other managers there.
What date did you leave?
We left on the 21st.
Between the 18th and the 21st,
Yes, ma'am.
did you see the plaintiff every day?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see her every day in a social setting in addition to the work setting?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever discuss with her your vague recollection of what had happened on the 16th?
No, ma'am.
And I assume that if you went to a club with her, as you describe, you weren't as appalled as that document that you're going to show me would suggest. Now, show me the document. Okay. Who is this?
This is my father. This is the man that she also harassed after.
Could you step up, please? Tell me your last name, sir.
Abner.
Mr. Abner, does your daughter live with you?
As of now, she does.
Did she then?
No, ma'am.
How far away did you live from each
I
other?
would say approximately 20 minutes.
And do you recall this business trip at all?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see her when she came back?
No, I didn't see her immediately when she came back.
On what date did you see her? Do you remember?
I may say it was in the month of December, but I can't say exactly the date.
So was it in January?
It may have been very well January. It could have been the latter part of December. Like I said, the holiday.
So you're not sure?
Directly, no, ma'am,
Okay.
date-wise.
And did she tell you about this incident that happened?
She did inform me of the,
In person or on the phone?
initially it was by phone.
On what date?
That date I don't have. It may have been in the month of December, maybe early January.
Could it have been in February?
There could be a possibility then.
So initially you said she told you about an incident or about this trip on the phone. Tell me what she said to you. Exactly what she said to you.
Well, to the best of my recollection, she told me that a coworker of hers had given her some sort of medication and had sexually assaulted her. My response was, you need to notify your managers.
When you told her to go to her superiors, did you see her subsequently in person?
Ultimately, I did see her, yes, ma'am.
Do you remember when?
Maybe in February.
Do you recall, was that before or after there was some change in her circumstance at work?
I believe it was before, because after the reporting of it took place, that's when her occupation, she resigned because there was a backlash from Miss Edwina, who then proceeded to contact people on Facebook, such as myself. She reached out to me on Messenger, posting a photo of the litigation action that she was taking against my daughter. She was making statements, and I have the documents here.
Well, I'm going to look at them as part of your counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
So now the details are coming out and things are starting to come together. Now, I think what's really going on here is she ended up telling her superiors to get her fired for doing something that she felt was inappropriate. And if that is the case, I agree. It's very inappropriate and it shouldn't have happened. And even if you wanted it, I do believe that under the rules of most businesses is that it should be against the rules within employees to do anything like that in any way, shape, or form, especially on a paid business trip. Now, what makes me think about it is if perhaps maybe there was a reason for both of them to lose their job, it might be because there was a little bit more involved in this, and Miss Red here is actually not telling the truth. And I think she actually got caught in the lie because they were investigating something. Because in order for a business to make such a, a claim that they're going to have to fire somebody over some behavior, they have to issue an investigation. And if there's, drugs involved and things like that, they're going to have to figure out who purchased them. And I feel like Miss Red here was the one who bought them, which is why her story is a little bit missing some detail. But what do you guys think?
You, at some point, notified your superiors. Did you notify them verbally or in writing?
I notified the operations director over the phone on February the 4th.
So that was a month and a half after this incident.
Correct.
Did anything happen from December 16th to February that caused you to report this after a month and a half rather than immediately and came back from the holiday, maybe in January? Did anything happen?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened?
I was notified. The area director had came back into town and notified me that I would be working with Miss Edwina directly on a day-to-day basis. And with everything that had transpired already, I wasn't ready to face her as like that.
Well, was that a promotion for you or a demotion?
It was a demotion.
So you notified your superiors after you were notified that you were demoted?
Correct.
How much after?
Maybe about a week, approximately. It was February the 4th, so.
Okay, so the only intervening act between December 16th and the time that you notified your superiors of this incident was that you were demoted.
Correct.
Now, you have some photographs that you want me to see.
The first photograph that I'm going to hand is that we went out to a bar on December the 18th when she stated we had not did anything.
Okay, I'd like to see that, Kevin.
Would you like me to wait for the second one?
Just a second. Just a second. December 18th? Just want to know.
That was the swingers club that I mentioned earlier.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. And that's just the bar.
Okay. Next photograph.
Yes, ma'am. The next photograph was, we got dressed together in the room when she was stating that she knocked at my door and stated she was ready. That's the reason why.
Hold on.
It states about the clothes being in that she left behind.
December 16th.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the actual date that we departed. We were getting on the airport to the plane, and she sent me this club that she wanted to go to with me and said Club Seduction.
Can I see it?
And that was the 20th, boarding the plane.
Who wrote Club Seduction?
That was me, Your Honor.
So this was on Tuesday, December 20th. This was 4 days after the incident.
Correct.
You're suggesting going to a Club Seduction? What is that?
I'm not sure. It was a club in Birmingham. I had looked it up.
That you looked it up? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I was with Edwina when I sent her that photo. We were looking up clubs, and I sent her the picture.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
You know, you're traumatized from an event that you now recognize happens, and you're looking up clubs to go to that are the same kind of clubs that you went to with her before, and that was after this vague memory. Yeah, okay. So this was your suggestion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okie dokie. Next.
Here is the text message she sent stating how she gave up everything to become a GM. And, yes, ma'am.
Do you know what date this was?
Yes, ma'am. It was February the 2nd.
Kevin, would you show this to the defendant, please? I want you Explain this to me.
This was after.
This was in February, February 2nd.
Right. Yes, ma'am. I was just explaining to her that I dropped out of college with the promotion. I had given up a lot of things for that promotion, and I was just explaining this to her.
Why?
I'm not sure what
Why?
the relevancy of this is, but
The relevancy of it is that you're reaching out to her, discussing things with her in February.
correct. I still worked with her. She was my area director.
Yeah, that's...
And this was relevant to me working with her that day. When I got demoted, she asked me to go out to lunch because she was actually telling me what was going on as far as me being demoted.
She was the one who gave you the news.
Yes, and then we had a meeting after that,
A meeting with whom?
the entire store.
And on what date did you notify your superiors of this alleged incident on December 16th? On what date did you notify them?
It was February the 4th.
Now, what exactly was the complaint that you made to them?
I told them what happened, and I just told them that it made me very uncomfortable and I didn't want to work with her.
Did you say anything to them about smoking marijuana or purchasing it?
I showed them the text messages, so that would be the answer.
About
there.
what?
About everything that we did in Tulsa, which in the text there was mention of weed, so that's where they got that from.
Can I see the text message that you're talking about weed?
I believe I gave those to you.
You gave those to me?
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
going to find them then. I'd like you to tell me when you were talking about going for Italian food.
That was it was the 17th.
It was before or after the incident that you allege occurred?
It was after.
After. And the reference to a little weed, when you reported that, did you report that you used a little weed or that she used a little weed?
I didn't bring up the weed in the investigation. I sent them the messages, but the main focus was what happened on the 16th.
In your answer to her defamation case, you said, I wasn't exactly sure what I remembered. All I know is that something happened that made me uncomfortable.
Correct.
You gave me a more specific answer now, but that's what you wrote in your answer.
Yes, ma'am.
What exactly did you advise your superiors happened?
Exactly what I've told you today, as far as me seeing her naked and blacking out before that, and her touching me inappropriately. And that's the only thing that I stated to them. I didn't tell them anything about weed or whatever the case may be.
You indicate in your complaint that in addition to discussing this alleged thing that she remembers vaguely, there was some discussion that you heard from your superiors because you were terminated from your job. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
About drug use.
Yes, ma'am. I was investigated and terminated. She initially called the job and said I drugged her and supposedly raped her with an edible. And that's how the drugs got into play, because they wanted to investigate who bought the drugs. And from the investigation, everything just started spilling out.
So this was just the first part of this 2-episode case that hopefully we can watch the next episode in the next part that should come out tomorrow. But in this specific case, something is just not adding up, and I want to know if you guys are onto it, because if you think about it, one person got terminated, the other person is just, the story's not adding up, and she says she doesn't remember, but then she does remember details that are very convenient for her story. And then the other one is just kind of sitting here thinking, I got the short end of the stick of this situation. Now, do I think that there was any sort of inappropriateness? I mean, I guess you could say so, but based on the photographs and like the text messages that were being shared, I just feel like she's lying about the fact that she didn't invite this inappropriate touching in. And the reason why is because the photographs are showing, sort of alluding to that the proof that she was participating in this equally. The other thing that I find really interesting is that she didn't make this complaint until later. And the other aspect of it is that she was in contact with her and kept talking to her about these kind of sleazy clubs that she was wanting to go to and try out. And so when you think about the whole case so far, it seems like her case is kind of crumbling, and I think Judge Judy is going to, maybe make a judgment based off of what is already crumbling before us. But we haven't even seen the second part of this case, and I want to know what you guys think so far. Whose side are you on in this situation? Because I feel like it's still up for grabs. Stay tuned, because tomorrow there will be a part 2.